Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Z-Warriors. Duuz-Diz-Din back with more of Dragon Ball Super, surprisingly enough. But what happened last time? Well, it was an all-out brawl between the Saiyans on Beerus's planet. We got to see Gohan Beast take on Ultra Instinct Goku, a little bit of Gohan taking on Broly, and Broly even actually managing to control a bit of his power. Shit, even Goten and Trunks got in on the action, as well as Vegeta. Vegeta getting to go toe-to-toe with Gohan, Goten and Trunks helping Broly keep his power in check, and when all was said and done, they made their way back to Piccolo, letting Carmine and Soldier 15 get the heck out of there, and Goku, not for the first time, but in a very interesting moment, got to spend some time with his granddaughter, and a deep bond was able to be formed. But what does this story hold? Join me as I find out, won't you? Okay, so from what I know, this was supposed to be how the superhero saga started and was written by Toriyama, but it was kind of cut, I guess, for time or something. So I'm interested to actually see how this all goes down. Special Dragon Ball Super one-shot. Several ships are approaching with a very sludge monster-looking dude in command. You'd think they'd learn by now. A new threat approaches. Oh god, is this freaking Super Mario Sunshine? You see explosions in the town. A woman screams. A man says, "What? Who are they?" And another man is doused with gunk from one of their blasters, saying, "Ugh, filthy!" And they're just unleashing their gunk all over the place. Is this the final form of Bacterian? The man in command of it, or whatever he is, says, "This planet is too clean. Let's dirty it up into a place fit for us to live." And so his men do just that, as the townspeople say, "They're spraying sludge everywhere. Ew, how unsanitary. It stinks." The leader laughs. "This is too fun." While his men say, "Keep spreading the filth." Is this a clean god thing? As we see a brush approaching one of the men, and he's caught off guard by being smacked in the face by a broom. He hits the ground. The brush hits the ground heavy with a thud. The commander of the invaders questions, "Huh? What's that?" The soldiers say, "A golden deck brush? Don't tell me." They look to the heavens. A figure lands. He grabs his golden brush and wields it, putting it towards the invaders, telling them, "That's far enough, dirty mad." Is that the guy's name? The leader says, "Who are you?" Clean God says, "Who am I? I am the one who scrubs out evil." As he strikes several poses, he calls out, "I am Clean God." Yep, sure enough. As we see Goten and Trunks watching this. In chapter 104, The Birth of Saiyaman X. Okay, so this is how they chose to be Saiyaman. Clean God on the TV says, "I'll wash your dirty heart squeaky clean. Take this, rubbing bidet." Ew. But oddly enough, Trunks watches on as Goten's excited, and he just says, "Lame." But the announcer says, "This is the story of how Trunks and Goten decided to become Saiyaman X." As Clean God keeps going at him using Ultimate Aqua Wash. Several soldiers are hit with the attack, but suddenly they come to and start cleaning, saying, "Sorry we made a mess. We'll do our very best to clean it up." Clean God laughs. "Ha ha ha! One swipe with my golden deck brush washes even the dirtiest hearts clean as a whistle." One of the soldiers call out, "He turned both of them into clean freaks." Is the leader really called Dirty Mad? Or is that something else? Yeah, I think he's called Dirty Mad. Okay. Dirty Mad says, "What? Enjoying cleanliness is shameful to our clan. Bring that now." And his soldiers do bring out a cannon saying, "Sir." And they call out, "Fire the stink cannon!" Ew. And they blast Clean God with a blast of stinky air. Just Captain Planet. Clean God hits the ground saying, "Ugh, it stinks. This smells worse than anything." Dirty Mad calls out, "It isn't only a smell. Our stink gas saps your strength and will to fight. Clean God grits his teeth saying, damn it, my clean powers. The announcer then comes on saying, what will happen to Clean God now? Will he be able to defeat Dirty Mad and save Earth? Now for a special announcement. Clean God is getting a live-action movie. Watch the continuation in theaters across the country. Goten says, ooh, man, it's finally getting a movie. I can't wait to see it. But Trunks just questions, you really like this stuff, don't you? Goten says, well, yeah, Clean God is cool. But Goten scoffs saying, Trunks scoffs saying, talk about dated. The whole mask and tights thing, it's that old school feel that makes... Oh no, Goten says, it's that old school feel that makes it cool. But Trunks says, if you say so. We then cut over to their school, which is Blue Hal High School. Yeah, Blue Hal High School. Their students are saying morning to each other. Goten runs up on Trunks saying, morning, Trunks. Trunks says, yo. As Goten follows, he says, oh hey, does your class have a field trip today? Where are you going? Trunks just says, the museum. As Trunks waves to, what was his name? Compass. Yeah, Compass. Because you got Compass, Ruler, who's the black girl, and Scale, who's the kind of large dude. The Trunks waves to Compass, and they sit on the back of the bus together with Compass just dozing off, listening to some tunes, while Ruler is taking some of Scale's potato chips. Oh, as they arrive at the museum, there's a statue of yeah, that's the guy from the World Martial the other World Tournament, Oblito, or what does it say? Oribu. Huh. So he was from Earth. Interesting. I see several statues. That's kind of cool. Does this person have a name? I guess it's just tour guide. I wasn't sure if it was their teacher or not, but the tour guide tells the class, all right, everyone, here we are. This museum has a statue of Earth's heroes. Scale takes a picture of Oribu, saying, cool, as Rula just pushes him inside. As they walk down the Hall of Heroes. Oh, is that Mutaito? Yeah, that's a statue of Master Mutaito. Oh, that's so cool. Oh yeah, they even focus in on it. I didn't see it at first. I keep forgetting what she's called. Tour guide says, believe it or not, our planet has been protected by many heroes for ages. Rula looks at the statue of Mutaito saying, wow, I bet they all got super rich and famous after. The tour guide says, no, not at all. More than one hero lost their life during their battles. See, I always kind of wondered if they really recognized a lot of Earth's heroes. You even have a statue of Goku. It's just a question mark at his face. It's back from when he was little. Compass looks at it as the tour guide says, most didn't reveal their identities, choosing to forego fame and fortune. And then you get the picture of Mr. Satan. Where the tour guide says, but not all of them, of course. And then Trunks takes a long look at the statue of the great Saiyaman. I love that. Wow. It's good to know that someone actually did appreciate the great Saiyaman from way back when. Tour guide then claps her hands saying, okay, let's go outside and have a picnic lunch on the quad. We have Trunks hanging out with Compass, Scale, and Rula. As Compass then questions, why do you think the heroes keep their identities secret? Scale says, because it's cooler that way. Clean God wears a mask, right? Rula says, yeah, but he's an anime character. Scale then questions Trunks, saying, you think it's cool too, right, Trunks? Trunks says, I guess. But Rula then questions, were you always into those kinds of things? But there's a commotion behind them. Scale notices, saying, huh, what's going on? One of their classmates says, check it out, they're filming the Clean God movie over there. Scale says, what, really? And we cut over to the filming, where Clean God calls out, deodorize, plasma crusher. Oh, it's the rest of the, what was just shown. Wait, they're only just filming it now? Dang. Japan crunch times are wild. Dirty Mad says, what? You dispersed the stink cloud? I love how you have Scale just dragging Trunks over to it. Clean God calls out, ha ha ha! Ions make for powerful deodorizers. Dirty Mad says, that does it. Get him, men. And Clean God calls out, bring it on. Hale says, so cool. But Dirty Mad calls out, charge, to his men. But suddenly, someone takes one of the audience's helmets and starts rushing through the crowd. Oh, suddenly the police show up surrounding the crowd. They call out, "Police, nobody move!" And everyone stops, including the actors. The police call out, "Thieves stole a museum artifact and escaped into this crowd. Has anyone seen any suspicious characters?" The man who had his helmet taken calls out, "Oh, them! They stole my cosplay mask." And several of the criminals turn and think, "I thought we'd blend in real good." Not when you're stealing from the people in the audience. As the audience disperses, leaving nothing but the criminals held at gunpoint by the police officers, the police call out, "Put your hands up." Trunks, who's just dazed out, suddenly is noticed by one of the thieves. He's taken hostage with his neck held at knife point. The thief calls out, "Stay back, try anything funny and the kid is dead." The police call out, "Oh no," while Scale says, "Trunks." Trunks then takes the knife so the guy can't move it, and then elbows him in the stomach, and the guy doubles over as Trunks just tosses the knife. The police say, "Huh? What just happened?" The other says, stomach cramps maybe? Clean God sees this, while the other thieves then rush away, saying, "Damn it, run!" Gale, seeing all this, questions, you have a stun gun on you?" Trunks takes off his bag, saying, "Nah, I'm not supposed to attract attention, but looks like I don't have a choice." But Clean God steps in his way, holding him off. Trunks questions it, saying, "Huh?" Clean God says, "Mustn't use your powers while your true identity is exposed, boy." Clean God then leaps into action. Oh, God. Is he an actual superhero? Then again, it's like we don't really know too many people. Because, back in the days of the old world martial arts tournament, you might be like a, Goku back in the day level person. We've leveled up so much that people like him are just kind of like not really noticeable anymore. But it's kind of cool, the idea that, hey, there's still like people who are very capable, like Vidal back when she was, running around fighting crime and stuff. As Clean God rushes in and does clean kick to one of the robbers' faces. That was a clean kick. The police are stunned. One of the robbers pulls out a gun, saying, "Bastard," and starts shooting. Clean God puts his hands out and uses clean filter and catches all of the bullets in mid-air. Holy crap. Whoa, this guy's kind of cool. Shit, no wonder Trunks got into this. Clean God wags his finger, saying, "That toy isn't going to work on me." Trunks is flabbergasted as Clean God starts spinning using pressurized clean press, and he double kicks down the guy who had the gun, and without missing a beat, Clean God bounds off of the other robber and uses super speed clean punch and decks the dude in the face. Trunks says, "Wait a minute, Clean God is actually strong." Unfortunately, the last robber holds the, I don't know why I keep losing the words for this, the tour guide at gunpoint, saying, "That's enough out of you." Scale is shocked as Ruler says to the guide. Clean God notices this, as the last robber says, You're no normal actor, are you? Who are you? Show your face." Clean God doesn't respond. He does call out to Trunks, saying, "Hey boy, do you know why heroes wear masks?" Trunks questions, "Huh? Why? Huh? Why? Because they think it makes them look cool?" Clean God says, "They're cool, yes, but that's not the only reason." Clean God then holds his finger out, flicks something, and it knocks the gun out of the robber's hand. Did he flick a pebble or something? The robber is shocked, saying, "Huh?" And without missing a beat, Clean God rushes in, using spinning clean chop, chopping the man in the neck, downing him in an instant. Ruler calls out the guide. The tour guide says, "Thank you so much." As Clean God says, "Taking hostages is a dirty move. It's time I scrubbed you clean, both body and heart." The robber says, You're gonna pay for this. Once I find out who you are, I'll then get my revenge." Oh, jeez. And in an instant, Clean God then appears next to Trunks. He then says, "Hey boy, are there people important to you?" Trunks questions, what kind of question is that? But he thinks about it. He thinks of Goten, Vegeta, Bulma, Compass, Ruler, Scale, and especially Mai. Then he blushes, and Trunks says, "Yeah, of course there are." Clean God says, The last robber gets up, saying, Just you watch, I'll find your friends and your family and I'll kill them all. Clean God then tells Trunks, heroes wear masks and keep their identities secret so that they can protect their loved ones from evil. Trunks is shocked by this. As Clean God rushes in, using leaping clean uppercut. And hello, Shoryuken. He hits the robber into the air. He then lands. Clean God lands, spots a fire hydrant, rips the top off, hits the guy with some water. Oh, he's not done yet. Oh my God, he's not done yet. He whirls up the stream of water that has caught the robber and creates a vortex of water. And he calls out to the robber, well, do you repent, evildoer? Trunks is seeing this, and then he takes a moment, notices the golden scrub brush. Clean God says, now to finish you off with my ultimate attack. Trunks says, grabs the scrub brush, calls out, Clean God, use this! And throws it to Clean God. Clean God spots it, grabs it, says, thanks, boy, and says, take this! Ultimate Aqua Wash, and hits the guy with a scrub so hard it knocks his clothes off, and he's just in his white beater and skivvies. And I gotta admit, that is a dynamic shot. This should have been the start of the saga, dude. This should have been the start of the saga. I hate that this was taken out. This is amazing. This is so stupid, but I love this because it is the one thing that never made sense to me. I'm like, Goten being into superheroes is one thing, but Kid Trunks wasn't really into superheroes. Like, did he think Great Saiyaman was kind of lame and all that? But this, oh, dude. Like, this moment of him just being like, dude. Like, even I'm kind of like, dude, this Clean God guy's kind of cool. What the heck? And even everyone watching is just like, wow. The robber says, I'm sorry, I repent. I promise. Now, please save me. I don't want to fall and die. And Clean God catches him as the crowd cheers. And Clean God just poses for the people as the robbers are arrested. The director calls out, did you know that actor could do that? The man says, no. Man, I hope y'all were filming that. Like, my God. And Trunks is just watching, and he takes a moment to say, no, that is a hero. We then cut to after school where Goten arrives on the Nimbus. As he lands over at Trunks' room, he opens the window saying, hey, Trunks, let's hang out. But Trunks is just busy playing Clean God using the ultimate Aqua Wash. Goten says, oh, hey, you bought the Clean God game. I wanted to play that one too. As he enters in the window, Trunks tells him, it's not half bad. As Goten bounds over Trunks' bed, he says, well, yeah, this game is what got Clean God started. Huh. Based off a video game. That's kind of cool. Give me that. Well, Trunks says, hey, I'm still playing. You see Mai and Shu working. But Trunks then says, that's so cool. You're good at this, Goten. Goten then says, you know, what if the two of us did this too? Trunks questions, did what? Goten says, superhero stuff, saving the world. Trunks tells him, we already are. Goten says, no, not the game in reality. Trunks is shocked. And then Goten says, yeah, you wouldn't be interested at all, Trunks. But Trunks says, no, actually, I think I kinda am. Goten says, really? You see Bulma walking by with, I think, laundry? Kind of questioning the commotion. But Goten says, let's do it. Yeah, let's give it a try. They bring out a pad, some eraser, and a pencil as Trunks gets ready to draw, saying, first, let's design costume so we can keep our identity secret. Goten says, ooh, costumes, cool. Something like Clean Gods? Trunks says, if we copy his, that'd just be cosplay. You have to switch it up some. What about adding stuff like Vegeta's battle outfit? Goten says, what about stuff like Vegeta's battle outfit? Trunks says, Papa's? Good idea. Let's add a touch of that. Goten, do we really need the tights and the briefs over top? Goten says, yeah, definitely. Clean God wears them. Trunks says, I kind of wanted to skip them. Goten says, no, we can't. I already told you that old school look is cool. Trunks says, okay, fine. What about capes? I think it just get in the way, so I want a scarf. Goten says, I want a cape though. Trunks says, okay, I guess we can have slightly different designs. And Bulma's outside because she brought lunch for Vegeta and Whis. Trunks says, done. And Goten says, cool. It's a very simple design they've made. Trunks says, what about superhero names? Didn't Gohan do a transformation superhero thing? What was his? Goten says, oh yeah, what was it? Oh, the Great Saiyaman. Trunks says, Saiyaman, huh? Nice. It's simple, but still has an air of mystery to it. Okay, the two of us will be... And they draw something on the heads. Trunks says, Saiyaman X, how's that? Goten questions X. Why X? Trunks says, come on, isn't that nonchalant feel to it cool? Okay, I'll be Saiyaman X1 and you'll be Saiyaman X2. Yeah, I was wondering about how this discussion went down too. As Goten says, how come you get to be number 1 and I'm number 2? Trunks says, because I'm older, duh. Simple teenager logic. Goten says, fine. I'll ask Castle Court to make the suits for us. Trunks says, listen, if anyone ever, what's a saying, tell them we can't say because it's a secret. Goten then says, wouldn't it be smarter to just pick different names? Trunks says, don't be dumb. The mystery is what makes it extra cool. Goten says, if you say so. He then cut to the Satan house. Mr. Satan's fallen asleep as his students train. No friggin' way. Are you kidding me? What? Are you kidding me? This actually still ties into Dragon Ball Super then, because he's still doing the acting thing. Oh my god, are you kidding me? He's still doing the acting thing. That one-off with Barry Khan. Oh my god, Gohan. Oh my god. What episode was it? A freaking stretch of episodes. Oh, it was part of the Future Trunks saga. Yeah, Wadagash the Parasite and all that. Yeah, when they were making that Great Saiyaman movie. Yeah, and when Gohan was being the stunt man. Oh my god, that's wild. I can't believe they brought that back. Okay, I gotta check out the rest of this. Okay, Clean God enters in, waking up Mr. Satan. Mr. Satan says, oh, welcome back. And then Clean God rips off his fake chin and takes off his helmet, revealing Gohan, and says, geez, Mr. Hercule, cut me a break with all this. Hercule says, oh, really sorry, Gohan. My student was supposed to play Clean God, but he got sick. The student says, I'm sorry. Okay, that's what it was. It was just a favor. Videl, who's handing out food to the students, says, I heard there was some big incident. Did it go okay? Gohan says, yeah, fine. We're just some petty thieves. Videl says, it's not what I meant. Trunks was there, right? That's not what I meant. Trunks was there, right? Gohan says, oh, that. Yeah, that was close. He was about to fight in front of everyone. If people find out he has superpowers, his high school life would be ruined. Videl said, yeah, I remember what you went through because of that. Did he understand? Gohan says, I think so. He didn't notice it was me, so I started monologuing as Clean God. He clicked something on his neck and then, oh, okay, that's how Trunks didn't recognize him. I was like, you didn't at least recognize the voice. I'm like, was this Great Saiyaman voice that good? But then a different voice comes out saying, I shove out the world's evil. I am Clean God. And he's still doing the Saiyaman poses. Mr. Satan says, oh, a voice changer. Videl says, sheesh. Put you in a hero costume and you totally change. Gohan laughs. Videl says, and wasn't that the wrong pose? Gohan says, what? It was? Was Videl not Great Saiyaman 2 here? That's unfortunate. I kinda like the Great Saiyaman 2 thing she had going. Videl says, oh well. Anyway, it won't do to worry Bulma over this. Best we all keep it a secret, okay? Gohan says, yeah. Mr. Satan says, by the way, Videl, isn't it almost time to pick up Pan? Videl says, oh yeah. And they all head off. They both head off with Videl saying, see you, Papa. He then cut to several days later where a biker gang is tearing up the streets. The cops are chasing, saying, pull over now. Stop this reckless driving. But one of the bikers throws a freaking thing of dynamite. Oh no, okay, it's firecrackers. I was about to say. But they're pretty heavy explosives. onto the cop car, which causes them to stop as it explodes on their car. The bikers call back, no one can stop us. Oh, but as the bikers are riding, they're coming upon a group of crossing school children about to hit one of them. Well, the main biker says, out of the way, kid, I'll run you over. The girl is utterly stunned and shocked by what's about to happen, caught like a deer in headlights, only for a Clean God poster to come crashing down between her and the bikers. Oh, here it is. Nice. A voice calls out from behind the poster, red light. Follow traffic rules, you lawless driver. The bikers who have stopped says, what the? Voice calls out from behind it. Cause trouble for common citizens and Clean God will punish you. Although someone from behind helps the little girl across the street to the caretaker saying, that's what I like to. Unfortunately, I'm too busy fighting space aliens, and so we'll protect the city in Clean God's stead. As the great Saiyaman X1 and X2 come leaping from behind the poster, posing in front of the Clean God poster, calling out, X2, Saiyaman X1, X2 have arrived, as Goten and Trunks smile at each other. Oh, that is so charming. That is so charming. I love it. I love it. No notes. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, I need them to adapt this, but leave this chapter as the first part of when they get to this section. Because I don't know if they'll... I kind of hope they don't try to fully adapt the Broly stuff into the anime. They might. They might. Just because there's not really that much content. But I need this to be adapted properly. This goes before the high school saga, and this gets to play a proper role in everything. Because I love the connections they make. You know, from being inspired unbeknowingly by Gohan again, and you know, Goten and Trunks' love for superheroes is there. That inspires the creations of Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 and the whole Cell Max stuff. Like, the way everything just flows together, perfect. No notes. I love it. It is absolutely beautiful. And it's one of those things where I really am questioning where the Dragon Ball Super manga and anime will go now that Toriyama is no longer alive. I still need to check out Daima, but Toyotaro, I hope that he can keep this kind of writing going forward, because Toyotaro has spent enough time with Toriyama that I would hope that he'd be able to just maybe capture a lot of the fun that Toriyama was really having. You know, Toyotaro really has a reverence and love for the series that he's able to include so many nods to old things that Toriyama just never could quite do. You know, he just couldn't always reference stuff from his older parts of his series because he just didn't really have that memory, or sometimes it even felt like he was kind of moving past it. But Toyotaro has such a love and an interest in the older parts of that series that a lot of the audience really appreciates. At least I always appreciate, like Oribu and Mutaito mentions, and why Goku isn't mobbed as the world's strongest hero and the person who defeated King Piccolo and all that. You know, some of the explanations might not hold a lot of water, but at least there's some form of explanation that I actually kind of appreciate. I don't know how much of this is... It's always that question of how much of this is Toriyama and how much of this was Toyotaro. And I know that going forward, there's not a great chance that Toyotaro gets to completely take over, despite the fact that he was always working with Toriyama. But I would love to just see what Toyotaro could do going forward. And I could only hope that he's given enough room to really carve out things as Toriyama's actual successor. Like it or not, he was the person chosen by Toriyama. Like, if you're not interested, it's fine to get off the ride. But Toriyama had been involved with Toyotaro since the start of Dragon Ball Super's manga, and they even wrote together some of the best stuff in the series. And I would hope that, maybe Toriyama's teachings rubbed off on Toyotaro. I can't imagine that they spent all that time working together and nothing really came through. I'd be interested to see what he could do. but it's also hard to say how much of it will actually get to be Toyotaro getting to just write things, because it's still a franchise and the way things work. But then again, we've seen how the anime only stuff goes, and sometimes that's not really that great either. So I don't know. I'm really curious, but we'll see. And once we adapt all of the Galactic Patrol stuff with Moro, and then what else is there? Because you got the Galactic Patrol Prisoner Saga with Moro, which will be adapted, and then Granola the Survivor is still to be adapted. And then the stuff from the High School Saga, and maybe they'll adapt some of the Superhero Saga. And there's enough room to adapt stuff, and I'm hoping that they keep things kind of annual. That way, if the manga does return, there's enough time to really flesh out an actual story going forward. So I'm very interested in where things go from here on out. Not to mention, there's enough changes in the anime adaptation that I wouldn't actually mind being adapted. And I kind of really liked a lot of the way they handled things in the anime adaptation and in the manga adaptation. Not to mention the aftermath of the battle and all that. And I would love it if we could actually finally venture to other realms, other worlds and stuff like that. Maybe there's powerful enemies to fight in some of the other universes. Now, I really want us to venture to the other Saiyans and stuff like that. There's so much room for things to grow, and we just never really got to do any of that. And especially with Frieza now having this newfound power, the story can go in so many directions. I'll just have to wait and see. But hey, stick around. I'll be doing Daima. Well, finishing up Sandland first, then I'm going over to Daima, and I hope you'll join me for that. So, it's been a great ride. I hope we'll see you again if you're only interested in Dragon Ball Super manga stuff. I'll understand that. But like, comment, subscribe no matter what. Check out Sandland, check out Dragon Ball Daima when I get to it, and all that good stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you later. So then take care. Bye-bye.